This is your first visit to Cuba, I know. I'm very curious to know at this time of night, while we wait for them to start, what your impressions have been.
Well, you know, Peter, I took your advice and called someone that you've known since 1960, Pablo Armando Hernandez, who is a great poet here in Cuba, and spent much of the day with him yesterday. And I was impressed. I also met one of the men who is featured in the Buena Vista Social Club, the blind pianist, who is very much a part of the music of Havana. Now 87 years old. He's going to be at Lincoln Center, in fact, next week playing. And so spending time with some of the artists, some of the writers and thinkers of this country made me as an American aware of how much I had looked at Cuba as just a political place and not as a place of the people in the world. As you know, you can't walk down the street here without hearing the music. It's not a food culture, it's a music culture here. And spending time with the children in schools yesterday, I was most impressed by how hard the people's lives are, but how, in so many ways, how fulfilling I think they see their own lives as being. It's a very different view than the view that we have from the States, I think.
Okay, Cynthia, thanks very much. We're going to come back to the Tropicana and visit with you again in a moment. We do want to take a quick look at the mall in Washington, D.C., because the national celebration is embodied there to some extent, too. This is not the first glimpse we've had, but look at, again, the crowd that has gathered there at the Lincoln Memorial end of the mall, or at least partway down the mall. And the Washington Monument, as we've also said before this evening, very beautifully dressed. The President and Mrs. Clinton are going to take a party of friends and important Americans out there. Terry Moran is on the mall. Terry, it's yours.
Peter, the President and the First Lady and Chelsea actually have already arrived here with their guests from a state dinner. And this place, as you say, just looks splendid tonight. It's been the scene of so many historic protests and moments of solemn national significance. It's just a party out here tonight, although I must say, probably the most sober New Year's Eve party. It's illegal to consume alcoholic beverages on the mall, and so at least nominally everyone here is quite sober. The President is going to address the nation a little bit before midnight. He's been thinking a lot about this. He is, as you know, you've spoken with him recently, in a very ruminative mood recently. This is a very historically self-conscious president. He knows this is a big moment, and he's going to talk, we're told, about the past and the future, of course, and the theme today seems to be One America. He says that is the journey that America's on, and he wants it to continue into the next century. There's one more thing I might want to tell you. As you see these vast crowds, although nowhere near the size that people expected, frankly, Chelsea Clinton is having something of a coming out, you might say. Over the past several months, she's been taking on more and more official functions, and tonight at the state dinner, for the first time, Chelsea Clinton was in the receiving line. And so this young woman who was a girl when her father came to the White House has grown up in front of us and really represents the next century of Clintons, I suppose. There's a large musical celebration going on here, produced by the great Quincy Jones. There'll be a film by Steven Spielberg. It is a big party. One of the problems I think that Washington has is that while it's the political capital of the country, it's not the cultural capital, and has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder for that reason, I think. But as you can see, tonight all is in very good spirits, at least as in good spirits as the law will allow here.
Thanks very much, Terry. Interesting that young Ms. Clinton is going to have to take up so many of the duties because her mother's running for Senate here in New York. But they had a creators dinner at the White House tonight. And speaking of culture, among those they had were Itzhak Perlman, Pinka Zuckerman, Marilyn Horne, Edward Albee, August Wilson, Arthur Miller, Neil Simon, and Maya Lin, who's the designer, among other things, of the Vietnam Memorial. So it was quite a creators and quite a culture dinner at the White House tonight. Let's go back to the Tropicana in Havana. You should ask.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tropicana, a paradise of the stars. To enjoy the new Santiago Alfonso's production, Tropicana, La Gloria eres tú.
sí.
Muy buenas noches, señoras y señores. Bienvenidos a Tropicana, un paraíso bajo las estrellas. El cabaret Tropicana tiene el gusto de ofrecerles la superproducción dirigida por Santiago Alfonso, Tropicana. La gloria eres tú.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Bienvenue au cabaret Tropicana, le paradis sous les étoiles. On vous présente la nouvelle production de Santiago Alfonso, Tropicana. La gloria eres tú.
This is one of those days when anybody watching television can make their own value judgments about what they think and what they see in any part of the world. But you get very mixed emotions watching the Tropicana, a place where no Cubans are allowed to go this evening, and certainly Cuban Americans will have a very particular view of what is happening there on this particular evening. Let us go back to the very first place in North America to greet the new millennium. Kevin Newman in St. John's, Newfoundland. You are minutes away.
Yes, we are, Peter. We are 4 minutes away. I know it says 10:30 down there on your screen, but it is almost 12 midnight here in Newfoundland, 1.5 hours ahead of New York time. And we may not have the Eiffel Tower sparkling, and we may not have the Thames aflame, but here in Newfoundland, we're having one heck of a party. And it is very much like the kind of thing that is going on in parks across America, or in this case, a pier. The local people have come down. They've got a great band on stage playing a Celtic jig, and they're just having a great old time, as you can see. It is a couple of minutes now, I guess about 2 minutes to midnight, and we are awaiting the arrival of a couple of group of children from the outports and from the main city here in Newfoundland, which is St. John's, and they will be coming down and counting down the midnight for us. I don't know whether or not you can see a picture of everybody in the crowd at this point, Peter.
Help me if you will here. Have we got another camera there? Not that you're not do we have any access to the stage at this point?
We should have about 12 other cameras here. And if you take a look on the stage now, you should be able to see a couple of step dancers who are doing
we have 12 other
step
cameras
dancing, Peter,
in
you're
St.
familiar
John's,
with.
Newfoundland, and we can't manage to get to the stage.
Oh, that's a shame. Because it really is quite a performance.
Can we plug into the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and the Millennium there? Is that possible? All right.
I'm sorry, Peter?
No, I was just I was actually really talking to Roger Goodman in our control room here and asking whether or not we could plug into the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's coverage of this, because they're also members of the International Consortium. But this is the first celebration in North America of the Millennium, America's most important ally down through the years, the second largest country in the world, 6 time zones, all the way from Newfoundland to Yukon in the far northwest.
And we are 2 minutes away, Peter. People ask, why is Newfoundland on half a time zone? Because it is quite unusual in the world. And I've asked around Newfoundland. It's been this way since about 1885, when Newfoundland looked at the map of the prime meridians and decided that Newfoundland was right in the middle of a time zone. So by gosh, they were going to be a half time zone. That's very much in the spirit of Newfoundland. It also, of course, gave them an extra half hour to bring in the fishing nets, an extra half hour of sunlight, and it was to their great advantage for that reason as well.
Now, you were in some
and it's part of what makes this place distinctive.
You were in some of the outports in the last couple of days for us, and you find a sad story which is occurring in other parts of North America, people leaving the land, in essence, or leaving the sea in that ports to go to the cities and never come back.
And it's the same story we see in America on the family farms. People who have made their lives on the resources of the earth are suddenly unable to keep making their lives that way. And this was a story about a place a great distance from here, actually. No roads, a very remote place. And the people in that place couldn't decide whether to stay or go. A very poignant moment. I see we have pictures now of the choir.
Celebrate.
Newfoundland and Labrador welcomes the new millennium to North America in 60 seconds. 60 seconds to the new year 2000. 60!
The 21st century has arrived in North America. Never have I seen so many Newfoundlanders determined to talk to the rest of the world. We'll be back in just a moment.